I have enough council members in the room to get started. So welcome everyone to our City Council work session for August 12th, 2025. Our meetings are public and you're welcome to join us in person or by watching from the Council's agenda page, Zoom, YouTube, or SLC TV. We hope you'll continue to join us in whatever manner you feel most comfortable. This is a joint work session meeting during which there's no public comment. Please join us tonight during our 7 p.m. formal meeting to share your comments. And we, of course, welcome your feedback at any time to P.O. Box 145476, Salt Lake City, Utah, 84114-5476, by email at council.comments@slc.gov, or via our 24-hour phone comment line, 801-535-7654. Comments on agenda topics are shared with all council members and posted to our website, slccouncil.com. The first item on our agenda is a update from the administration. And so I would like to have first, I think Chief Lieb from Salt Lake City Fire Department and Mayor Mendenhall join us. And I'm going to be providing an update on the fire on Main Street from last night. So please go ahead.
Yeah, I can go first, Mayor. That's all right, just like this morning. Thank you, council members. Good afternoon. Thank you, Council Chair. I'm happy to give you a briefing on the events from last evening. I'll try and keep it relatively brief, and then feel free to ask me questions following the briefing. So last evening, about 8:40 p.m., we received a first alarm commercial fire call at a restaurant, the London Bell. Potential fire in the kitchen. Our crews arrived on scene and began to investigate a cooking fire. They found smoke and fire ultimately in the ceiling area within the establishment, and they began to ensure evacuation of the building, which had already really initiated by the employees of the Bell. We initiated an aggressive offensive attack at that time to try and isolate the fire. However, it was located in the void space between what we see as the ceiling and the roof of these buildings, and it started expanding and started moving laterally, both north and south. At 9:42 p.m., we transitioned from an offensive to a defensive strategy and called the third alarm. Offensive strategy in the fire department means we have firefighters interior, we may have firefighters on the roof, near the exterior walls. We're doing everything we can to save the structure. When we go defensive, the scene has become so dangerous for firefighters, we have to fight from a safe position, external of the building, off the roof. Everybody's out. We had approximately 78 firefighters on scene and 20 fire apparatus. Ultimately, we had major damage to 5 businesses. Early this morning, it was updated from 4 to 5 and included another establishment to the north. 6:15 a.m. this morning, we concluded our fire watch and we demobilized fire crews. 6:40 a.m., last crew was released from the scene. Since we left the scene early this morning, we've been back at least once just to extinguish some hot spots that the investigative team located. So that's not unusual for a fire of this size. We had 3 minor firefighter injuries, but no civilian injuries. Building inspections, we're gathering that information for all the buildings that are involved. We partner with building services and code enforcement for these type of buildings. They were built in 1914, and they underwent several remodels throughout the years. Many of us have been in those buildings. It's very unfortunate. Mutual aid really helped us out last night. We have to give credit to SLC 911. They do a great job. Salt Lake City Emergency Management, Salt Lake County EM, Salt Lake City Police Department provides a drone for our use. We find that invaluable in fires like this. It's a great collaboration, very valuable. Unified Fire Authority, West Valley, South Salt Lake Fire Departments all helped us out. They also moved some units into the city to backfill our stations so we could go on our regular calls that we have throughout the evening. So that's very helpful. Initial estimated loss is approximately $5 million for all buildings involved. Rocky Mountain Power has started to turn power back on to adjacent businesses. That includes Cheers to You, the Bodega, and Utah Book and Magazine. Currently, the properties have been turned over to the owners, and from there, they will determine the next steps with building services. There's no immediate intent for the fire department to do anything with those buildings, from clearing them out to raising them. So we have no plan for that right now. It's up to the owners. So nothing will happen quickly. I just want to put a plug in for the firefighters. They did a tremendous job last night. This was a very intense fire. It was very fast moving. There's a lot of fuel in these roof void spaces, a lot of opportunity for it to gain traction and speed. And quite honestly, the conditions last night were hazardous. It's very hot. Visibility was next to nothing. We're trying to identify where the fire is, how can we reach it, how can we apply water, how can we keep our firefighters safe and ensure nobody's in the buildings. So they did a tremendous job. My whole leadership team was on scene. Of course, we had upwards of 80 firefighters, as I said. They did a great job. So hands off to their firefighters in Salt Lake. I'll give it to you, Mayor.
Thanks, Chief. And I just want to say the firefighters Salt Lake City firefighters are the best. And we also can't do the best work without the fire departments who back us up in these situations. And we're just incredibly fortunate. Also, that the 3 firefighters who sustained minor injuries, when Chief Lieb described them this morning at the press event, they don't sound minor to me at all. Broken ankle, falling ceiling debris that trapped a firefighter against a fence, and another injury that escapes my mind.
Yeah, smoke inhalation.
Smoke inhalation, dehydration, and nausea. So I hope that they're well. I wanted to give you an update on 3 ways that the city is working very quickly to try to help these business owners and their employees. First is the reach back to the Tip Your Server program that we did with the Downtown Alliance and many other businesses downtown during COVID, which recognized that these displaced employees need income right away and unrestricted income. And so we are standing up, and it actually just went live on the Downtown Alliance website, the Salt Lake City Main Street Fire Employee Assistance Fund. And we're setting it up so that anybody can make a contribution, and those contributions will go 100% to the employees of those 5 businesses that were directly affected. We'll be working with the business owners, of course, to make those distributions. And the Downtown Alliance is a great partner in helping us to do that. I believe the Utah Restaurant Association is also involved with us. So that is now live on their website. The second part is an emergency loan fund concept that we also did during COVID. This provides no interest loans with a term sheet of repayment over several years. We're looking at recreating something like that for these businesses so that either while they wait for reimbursement from insurance or for the gap that the insurance cannot cover, that we could work with them on some terms to get them no interest loans from the city. We will, of course, be coming to you to determine whether or not you want to approve those funds and how we're going to deploy them, but we're working with Economic Development, Mary Beth Thompson's team, and the CRA to figure that out. We'll have information to you as soon as possible. The third piece is that I've made a commitment to all of the business and property owners that we will give them white glove service to get their permits and inspections done as quickly as possible so that they can get reopened and doing business as quickly as possible. So just wanted to give you an update, and always open to your suggestions as you talk with those business owners and community members or have other ideas. We are open to it.
Councilmember Lopez Chavez.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Chief Lieb. Thank you to Station 1 and the Bee Patrol and Mayor Mendenhall. Thank you eternally from District 4 and on behalf of not just our neighbors and residents, but our small business owners that are the life and blood of Main Street and our downtown. It means so much to me, and I was completely shocked, as is everybody, but this doesn't have to be another hole or another dilapidation on our Main Street. I think if anything, it shows the vigor that City Hall has to re-infuse and to expand on the dynamics that are at play here. We have a vibrant Main Street in downtown. We have lots of isolated economic development projects and commerce coming in. And so I can't wait for the reopening. I'm really excited to hear that Power's back online. So you can still, I didn't hear Felt, but I hope Felt's on that list as well, and other restaurants later that'll come back online. And I just want to recognize the heroism of those 3 firefighters. Again, this was a brave act, an immediate response from our fire department and emergency response. And this is an opportunity for us to step up and to really have a larger and broader conversation about how do we continue to supplement our burgeoning downtown. We've seen a lot of growth, and I'm excited for the time ahead, but I want to recognize and share my sympathies as well for the damage that the fire has caused, but also very, very grateful for the opportunity to speak with the businesses and have longer term conversations about how we can support them.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Councilmember Pui.
Quickly, I want to thank the work of your personnel there, the firefighters that put their, it's always fascinating to they run towards danger and keeps us all safe, and the work putting themselves there to mitigate this is huge. There was probably hundreds of videos online. It was very visible of a fire, and I'm sure it's a traumatic time for the community, or the employees and whatnot too. My question relates to securing the properties and ensuring that they are not in danger to the community as a whole. There is a very public space, and there's multiple ways to get to these properties. Is that on the owners to secure the properties, and do they have a timeline to do that? Or is there assistance possibly for that?
Yeah, normally that is the responsibility of the owner's council member, but emergency management will facilitate the securing of the property. So if they're not in a position to be able to do that immediately, the emergency management will step in and make sure that occurs.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you, Chief. We really appreciate the good work of you and your firefighters, and thanks, Mayor, for being here. Okay. Other updates from the administration. I believe we have Weston Clark, Director of Community and Outreach, or Director of Community Outreach, and Andrew Johnston, Director of Homeless Policy and Outreach.
Good afternoon, Council. We'll go ahead and go into the engagement highlights for you all. If you go to the next page, a reminder to go to our slc.gov/feedback page, where we try to collect all of our projects for the community to engage on. But I will reference today, we've started a soft launch of our new engagement software, which I'm really excited about. And there are some engagement opportunities there already that we will point to. It's the shape.slc.gov, Shape SLC. So I will mention those later, and hopefully we will get everything on there very soon. Next slide. Starting with some public lands. We've got several exciting updates across the city's parks and public spaces, starting with Fleet Block. The public survey for the green space and artwork went live on August 11th and will stay open through the end of the month. We are teaming up with partners also to host community conversations throughout August, so residents are able to share their ideas in person. In Glendale, we celebrated the grand opening of the new pickleball complex. Some of you know that well, on July 30th, and the event drew a crowd of local players and neighbors who are excited to see the new courts in action. I haven't played there yet, but I hope to soon. At Liberty Park, the Rotary Play Area is going to be closing on August 19th for major redevelopment that will run through summer of 2026. So if you have kids with memories of that space, it's time to check it out one last time. In the meantime, we've posted a list of nearby playgrounds on the project's website so that families can find other spots to play. Looking at Allen Park, Public Lands will begin installing new water and fire lines in this fall. This is a $500,000 project that will improve fire safety and support the health of the park's trees. This is the first step in a series of major upgrades funded by the general obligation bond. The work will take about 3 to 4 months, weather permitting. And in the short term, there is also a planned closure of the park on August 18th for some demo of a small building in the park. Next page. This is on our new SHAPE SLC page. This is the new well mural. You've probably heard we've had over 1,000 responses to the survey already on SHAPE SLC, which is great. It's going to make its debut in 2026, and we encourage residents to go there and share their ideas and feedback on the survey, which will be open until September 15th. And then in Love Your Block news, we just wrapped up our most competitive grant cycle yet with a record 32 applications. 6 projects were selected to receive fall mini grants, helping spur resident-driven change. These projects will take place in Glendale, Poplar Grove, and Ballpark, and will be completed by November 30th. Residents and council members are invited to roll up your sleeves and join. You can reach out to Diana Ramirez on my team in the mayor's office or visit the Love Your Block website in order to find out when. And the next slide is our fall events happening out in the community, also where my team will be offering community office hours if folks would like to engage with the mayor's office. I'm including this weekend at the Kensington Street Fair and the Bonnie Ball in Sugar House on August 23rd. So we encourage the community to show up to those events and chat with the liaison team there. And that is all for me.
Next slide, please. 2 slides to the council members. The first one is the typical one with the utilization report, 96% utilization. I will say that the majority of our openings recently have been in our senior shelter option, so it's not necessarily uniform across all shelters, clearly running at a capacity across the board. EIM at Gladiola Street in the industrial area this week, and then Victory Road and Warm Springs Park continue to be a focus area for the rapid intervention teams, although they are across the city and other places as well. Resource Fair did happen last Friday, very successful, and the next one is in September at Library Square. Next slide. Some updates here for some of you who have asked some questions about what's going on with certain initiatives. The winter services planning has taken place over the summertime. The plan for the Salt Lake County was submitted to the state on July 30th for August 1st deadline. They have a couple of weeks to respond to the plan, including whether they're going to accept it or reject it based on certain criteria. I will say that the plan envisions about 400 more shelter beds this coming winter than last winter. There is an open question about how to pay for those and if those will be available, and that's something that will be back and forth with the state and the task force in the coming weeks. Transformative campus. There's not much to say publicly about this at this point. The state is talking about they are evaluating land for the location. But we will say very clearly that the Office of Homeless Services, the state, does not have enough funding, either capital for the build of it or for operations going forward. That is a topic of discussion among all of us pretty consistently, and going forward towards, let's say, next legislative session, it will be a big topic. The governor, I believe, plans to have his budget ready in September, and we'll have a better sense then about what he's proposing as well. Mobile hygiene pilot, which was initiated at the council level earlier this year. It has been awarded to a local nonprofit. A small group is very excited. We'll have more info for you as soon as possible. They're looking at the name, working through us about details, where, when, how that'll happen. We'll hopefully have that with you very quickly. And then Community Corner. On the left of the screen, you'll see a flyer. This is an opportunity we've presented to small homeless providers who are doing mobile outreach to the community, and typically are going where people are or going to parks, and people are gathering in parks for those services. We've been working with parks with some of the unintended effects in the park system of this happening consistently. So one option we're providing to people now is a vacant piece of land that we've fenced off and secured that the CRA owns. It is going to be open Mondays through Wednesdays in the afternoons. Local providers can apply to HEART to set up there to offer services to the unsheltered. They've planned those hours specifically to match up with existing services at the Wiegand Center and St. Vincent de Paul, so they're not overlapping or being duplicative, excuse me. And it's intended to be a short-term thing. So now until October or November when winter services open up, and we're evaluating how impactful this is as far as still delivering services, but containing them to a certain location where we can ensure it's clean, it's safe, and it doesn't overflow to other places and impact other users of parks. And Hart will be is administering this program right now, so I can take any questions for you, or we can talk offline.
Councilmember Petro.
How many beds were accounted for in the task force's plan that they submitted? And does West Valley have to, in perpetuity, keep a temporary use going via preemption?
I'll start with the West Valley question. The West Valley, there's a state-owned liquor store that's been closed for several years now. They've used that for 2 years, I believe now, for an overflow shelter temporarily in the wintertime. In the last couple of years, the state has been able to cobble together enough money to keep those facilities open through the summer, so there's not a drop-off in the spring. Because it is state-owned, West Valley doesn't really have a say in it operating there. Wayne Niederhauser and the Office of Homeless Services have worked with them and tried to keep them very much updated on their plans and intentions. But yeah, as a temporary site, it's been pretty much continuously operated for quite a while now. I believe it's still, it's part of the plan to be operated through this winter as well. So I can't really tell you sort of the future of that. The general numbers that the task force came up with were based on point-in-time count numbers, last year's shelter utilization, the number of beds we had, plus turnaways and code blue nights, trying to get the best estimate we can. That came out to 1,300 temporary beds. That's in addition to the year-round beds we have fully funded in the HRCs. That means, that includes, say, West Valley, the extra beds in the current resource centers on North Temple, other places like that, plus that included the code blue beds, which we've had previous years. I think it envisioned about over 200 of those, I'll say, as well as 400 additional beds in that 1,300 that we haven't had before. So it does mark a market increase from last year. I will say that we know that there is a demand out there. Clearly, we've been full in our current resource centers. Even with all of the additional beds from last winter, we're still full. So the need is there. The question is, how can we come up with the locations and the money to do it? I'll say we in the general sense, not the city.
Councilmember Pui.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I would love to. I appreciate how you frame these answers as like we, because we are part of it. But I obviously struggle sometimes with the rhetoric from some people that make it look like it's only Salt Lake City's problem or Salt Lake City's doing. I would love to explore the opportunity if Mr. Wayne Niederhauser would love to visit us. We would love to have him here to explain, to let us know how he's approached this and how we can help him. I would love to listen from who's leading this department for the state, and put it on the record here too for ourselves and for our citizens. And I would love to extend that invitation. I know that he doesn't respond to us, and I have a great deal of respect for him myself. And we're not. My intent is not to put him in an awkward situation, but to actually understand the constraints that he has experienced and how he sees this problem moving forward. So, thank you for the work. As far as the community corner, are you intending to have a board there or something that tells the times where the services are going to be implemented, or so for those that visit the spot to know when is this, what is the schedule looking like?
Sure. So I'll say that the first thing that happens a lot in the unsheltered community is word of mouth spreads things very quickly. So we know that's going to happen. The providers themselves are spreading the word through their networks, people they're already seeing on the streets and other locations. We haven't done a big opening for this site. We kept it fairly low key as a buildup. So for this week, we'll probably see some low numbers. And it depends on what providers are showing up as well, because they have to plan in advance to be there, so we know who's going to be there, make sure it's not overwhelming the site, et cetera. So we are doing word of mouth and through the provider networks, both who are going to be there and who are also sort of other providers in the community, going that route with the notification. We've also done some work, Weston's team's done well to coordinate with the neighbors around that site to make sure that they were aware in advance. We've had meetings with them to hear their concerns, make sure we try and address as much as we can there to kind of ward off any issues that they may foresee happening there.
Will you be so kind to share the process for any neighbor or resident in the area to just let your team know of what's happening? There's a lot of constraints in the area. There's a lot of issues in the area, as you very well know, and they're not very far from this site. Certainly, I believe that offering the right services is key here. I also want to mitigate the impacts to the overall community too. That being said, garbage or potentially the pop-up of more of drug markets, in the streets and whatnot, and so I would love having those resources so I can share with my neighbors as well.
So just up front right now, Amy Stocks, who manages the HEART team, she's the direct contact for this community corner. One-stop shop, go right to her. Commander Diamond in the police department and Lieutenant Davis, who work with him, they've been our contacts meeting with all the neighbors and for safety and security issues. So we make sure that all the neighbors have their contact information so they can contact us directly. Even yesterday when they were working down there, they got calls from UTA to work on some things. So we are actively engaged with those neighbors on those things.
Okay, I don't think we have any other questions. Thank you so much. All right, the next item on our agenda is a resolution for the Capital Improvement Program follow-up discussions. And with us, we have Kate Werrett, Council Policy Analyst. And then we also have available for questions Ben Ludke, Deputy Chief Financial Officer Rachel Molinari, Capital Improvement Program Manager, Mike Atkinson, Capital Asset Planning Manager, and some other department directors. Go ahead, Kate.
Great, thank you. So this is, I believe, our fourth briefing that we've had on the Capital Improvement Program. I'm just going to refer to it as the CIP moving forward. And we have quite a bit of time today to discuss this because this is your opportunity to finalize going through the projects, call out any projects that haven't been funded or were funded and you want to adjust the funding. So there are 8 or 9 projects that received a funding recommendation that we haven't discussed yet. If it's okay with you, I say we just hit those projects and then open it up for discussion on funding. You'll notice at your seats you have a sheet that has all the projects that I was aware of that you had funding suggestions for that are there. But we'll get to that in a second. So let's go ahead and open the funding log and look at project number 28 is where we will start. So this funding, this project is the Riverside Basketball Court renovation. They requested $530,000 and they were recommended by both the advisory board and the mayor to receive full funding for this. If there's no comments, good with that? Okay, we'll go ahead and go to project number 38 then. So this is for electric vehicle charging expansion at the Public Service Building. They had requested funding for phases 1 and 2, and the mayor recommended funding through phase 3, which will provide enough EV charging stations to fulfill the needs that are had. you are going to be having an EV charging station as well as EV vehicle, EV charging station for both public use and city use coming up here in the next couple months. We're waiting on one more transmittal from the airport to bring that to you, just so you're aware. But that's why this is recommended for funding at a higher amount than their request, because the mayor is recommending funding to the full amount to get them through phase 3.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Councilmember Pui.
Quick question. Are there breakdowns on this money that I can quickly find out? Are there smaller amounts of money that we can potentially allocate? I guess that's what I'm trying to get to. It's a significant amount of money. Not right now. The pressure I'm feeling is that there is so much need and so little money, and I'm trying to make good to public safety needs first in my mind. So if you have any information on that one, I would love to explore the possibility of shaving some of the funds here if possible.
Yeah, definitely. So they have a breakdown in their application that had it broken down. So for phase 1, it was going to be $1,011,000 plus change. Phase 2 was $214,000 plus change, and then phase 3 was $99,000. So if you look at with their funding recommendation, they had asked for phases 1 and 2, so that $1,002,000, and the mayor added in the additional to make it the full 3 phases. So if you were looking to just do phases 1 and 2, that would give you about $76,118 in the general fund that could go towards other projects. So 70.
Can I clarify? I don't think I wrote. I see here allocated 1,078,807 total.
Yes.
With 1,011,214,000 and 99,000 as the allocation here doesn't even cover the first 2 phases. Sorry, I don't know if I wrote something down wrong.
Oh.
I just didn't follow that.
Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Thank you.
Hi, Julie Crookston, Public Services. Kate just switched up some of the numbers. So
Sorry.
phase 1 and 2 would be the figure you quoted, and then the phase 3 additional money that the mayor added is the $76,000. The initial phase is expensive because you have to add electric infrastructure, so it's not just the chargers, which is why phase 3 is cheaper, because at that point you're just adding more chargers. The first phase is adding transformers and more electric capacity.
Can I follow up real quick? So I'm seeing that we currently have a fleet of 50. Our current infrastructure, because this is an expansion of infrastructure that we have, is our current is this expansion driven by actual demand or a projected demand? Is our current fleet being served, or is this expansion required to serve that current fleet?
Both. So the current fleet is needing to be very creative in how they charge their vehicles, so they're having to do a lot of coordination to cycle everything through. And if you have too many vehicles charging at once, it trips the breaker of the building. So this would address that, as well as expand the capacity for the predicted vehicles that could eventually become EVs. They're mostly sedans that the technology already exists, but because we haven't had the charging, we haven't bought the EVs yet.
Could I, if I could, I would love to see the projection for what we are switching to EV, because I know in fleet it was part of the proposal during the budget session. So I'd like to see what we're converting and how long this expansion would help us, like when the next expansion will be required.
We can get you that information.
Yeah, obviously this is something I valued myself. Sorry, Mr. Chair.
No, go ahead.
I'm trying to see if there's an opportunity to maybe punt some of these objectives to a little later, buying ourselves a little time for the goals. But ultimately, when I am working on my house, sometimes it makes sense to do it all together, then facing it. But even from the explanation that we got today, potentially it will be satisfactory to do phase 1 and 2, and that will give us $76,000 of potential funding to play around. So
Yes, that's correct.
this might be some more information.
Thank you. The other thing that I want to add is that right now there are no EV stations there, and most officers are charging their vehicles at home. So it's costing them a lot of money, whereas they could charge it at the public safety parking lot instead of charging them at home. So keep that in mind for these EV stations as well. I think it's really important for our officers to not have to incur that expense at their home.
Go ahead. I don't think so.
Okay.
You.
Great. Well, we will continue on to item 40 or project 44. This is event infrastructure and pavilion replacements for vibrant, safe city parks.
I was being a bad student. I missed the number. What was that?
44. So all the funding for this is coming from park impact fees.
Can I just ask, park impact fees, remind me, they can go to new, what is their kind of guardrails around them?
So it's mainly new and improvements that are to increase the city's overall level of service for new residents. It can't be a replacement of existing items.
Got it. And is it restricted to just areas that are designated parks, or does it have more applicability across the city?
It can go towards plaza areas also.
Okay.
I'm not sure beyond that.
The trick is that the projects across the city, so first, the answer is no, it does not need to be in a designated park area. So, for example, trails, the 9th South 9-line trail is an example where there's a creative use of parks impact fees, but it has to be in our impact fee facility plan. So if it's a new idea that wasn't included in that plan, it potentially is not eligible for parks impact fees.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Councilmember Puig.
I will also like to request a little more breakdown on cost here, because it's a lot of money, and I want to know specifically what we can buy with that money, and just to have an idea of how many pavilions. I mean, they have to be new, being park impact fees. The description talks about replacements too. Obviously, that's because there's a $4 million request. If we had more money, obviously, it will come from other funds. But so we are talking about new amenities. I would like to see what the administration is planning to do with the $2.5 million if this were to go funded,
Okay,
and where potentially.
great. I will share the full application materials with you on that one. They have provided some additional information, so I'll send that your way, or everyone's way.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead. Councilmember
Yeah, thank
Puig.
you. Appreciate the questions and appreciate the explanation here. My question would be on specifically, would bike racks be included in this?
So I asked, and bike racks are not covered by park impact fees on a general basis unless it's at a park.
Why wouldn't they? Like, it's a new amenity. Is that like by law? Like,
I think if they're included as part of an entirely new park plan, yes. This is where the way we write our impact fee plan is very important. So as the administration is updating the impact fee plan, these are the kinds of lessons, unfortunately, we have to learn the hard way of ways to preserve our ability to use impact fees more flexibly in the future. But they are heavily regulated by state law, and that's why the impact fee plan is written the way it is. So it's frustrating and not perfect, but it means that we have to use them when we do know that they're eligible. So.
And are we planning to make that update eventually? Is someone putting a sticky note somewhere on this one?
Yes.
Any other questions? Okay.
Great. Okay, so the next project is Project 45, the very next one. So playground shade. They asked for 500,000 and were recommended to receive 500,000 from park impact fees. You can see a list there of where those shade structures may go.
Councilmember Pui.
Sorry.
Okay.
How is it that it comes from impact fees for like replacement of shades?
We need an impact fee attorney here, but in general, playground replacement has been deemed eligible for impact fees because the playgrounds that are replaced serve more kids than are currently being served. So in a sense, new people who are moving in are able to use a facility that has expanded in scope. The way I think about it and the way it was explained to me at one point is, are you adding a lane to a road? Or are you replacing the existing lanes with a road with the same number of lanes? So if we're adding amenities to a park to serve growth, and that's the key, and we have it in our impact fee plan, then we can use it. Then we can use impact fees.
Or if you're a fire truck.
Yes.
Or if you're a fire truck.
Or a police car.
Correct. Okay.
Great. Okay, next up is number 48. This is the Rose Lane Beautification Trail and Safety Improvement. You may remember that when we were reviewing one of the first items in the project log, it was for ADA improvements, and it wasn't fully funded because $680,000 from that went to this project instead, which is pretty much a sub-project of that ADA improvement one. And these funds are coming from the general fund. So
I'm not really asking for much anywhere else in CIP because of this. This is what's in the city's purview to accomplish. We consistently neglect this area. No offense, I know you all work as hard as you can, but every year I have two constituents who have to tell me, can we get the weeds mowed? Can we get the weeds mowed? It's just so on the edge of everything that we don't. What they really need, honestly, is for UDOT to stop rejecting me. It's Carlos Braceros is the only man who's allowed to reject me and still get emails from me. But like they keep rejecting the request for a sound wall. There's a material change to the use of that highway since the truck prohibition left the legacy highway, and since they added the factories across the way that caused like a reverberation effect. So this is a very lovely thing that the city is doing to enhance. It still represents probably about a third of what that neighborhood needs, but it's a good faith signal from the city that we are hearing them, we care about them, and even being on the edge of the city means that you still deserve full service from us.
Councilmember Young.
Just a quick follow-up, and this may be for my fellow council member, but I'm open to feedback from anywhere. So when we're installing just like the new trees and the new irrigation, do we also have like a plan to take care of those?
So within their application, they include an estimate on how much it will impact the maintenance of the park areas in each application. I can look this one up and let you know what that number was.
And is that something where it's then reasonable to like have that as part of the consideration for the future budget conversation? Like really what I'm asking for is an ability to kind of flag those items where it's like we approved an improvement to this area and now we would like to commit to maintaining it in future budgetary cycles as opposed to it getting lost in the process. Is that a maybe? Maybe we could do that?
So are you asking for like the ongoing cost for this capital investment?
So it's not just this project, it's all the CIPs that I'd just be curious in, not for today and today's approval, but to be able to make sure that we are calculating those pieces, because I think it is one of the things that I have both seen, not just in my district, but across the city, that, you know, we create these new, really, really beautiful spaces for our residents. And I just want to make sure that as a council, we continue to have the conversation about funding the maintenance to keep them at that level when possible.
Yeah, and that is in the CIP book and part of the application that they submitted. If we get to a point where we have what you would like to see as the funding recommendation, what you want to approve, I will go ahead and calculate what your maintenance number will be.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Can I also piggyback on that? These improvements feel like really low-hanging fruit for us to innovate smart ways to do maintenance, as opposed to pushing lawnmowers, those self-propelled zero-emission lawn maintenance machines that we have been getting sold every time we go to a conference. I'd love to see that take some of the burden off of manpower so that we can keep up and maintain. So as we're innovating these spaces, I would love to see us care for those spaces that give us bang for our buck on our ongoing dollar.
And Mr. Chair.
Yes, Councilmember Dugan.
Thank you. And I just, again, I'll piggyback on everybody else here. I love the idea of the beautification, and I also appreciate Councilmember Young's comments about ongoing. It's because in my district, it's always ongoing along Foothill Drive. I know it's a UDOT road, but it's our side of the street, but between like 13 South and Sunnyside on the east side, the overgrowth along that sidewalk just makes that sidewalk unusable and unpassable. And it's every year, it seems like it's a stretch there, and the beautification just does not happen. And even when we complain about it, it doesn't happen. It's one of those, we need to have that done. It's not really the CIP side of the house, it's more the general budget side of the house. But those one of those projects is like, hey, we need to make sure that all the stuff that needs to be done is being done on a regular basis and not until someone complains about it.
Okay, go ahead.
Great, thank you. So the next two projects are a little bit different than the others. Well, we've already discussed 57, which is the next one. It's the Civic Campus and the Green Loop. Since we're going in order, I wanted to just acknowledge.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Councilmember Dugan.
I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the work on the Green Loop and the funding for that and the vision on that. I'm just looking at possibly using some of the funds for the Green Loop on another project because this project has $99,000 coming from the general fund. That means that those funds are open to any multiple uses and all uses that we deem appropriate. So I'm just looking at possibly using some of that $99,000 out of this $3 million to go to a separate project number 18, just to boost that project up. And I was looking for between $30,000 and $50,000 would be great to add some more bike racks to project number 18.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Follow-up question to Mr.
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan.
So we have a question for Councilmember Dugan's proposal. Go ahead.
Will you run through it one more time? So you're trying to fund 18, which is 100,000, and take it potentially from 57.
Yeah, just take a small portion of 57 and add it to number 18. And the reason is because we are in dire need of bike racks across the city. And I'm not specifically saying what district or what area for the bike racks. I would leave that more up to the transportation department. But our bike racks across the city are in disrepair, and it just, it doesn't support users of bikes because now they don't have a place to park them. And so the bike racks are a capital improvement, so we could use the general fund for that because it's a CIP project. but just boosting that CIP from 100 grand to say 150 grand. That will give you about 40, 45 bike racks across the city, and our bike racks right now are just increasingly just being demolished.
I'm gonna call on myself to answer to ask a question,
Sure.
which is, I mean, the project's request was only 100,000. It's fully funded. Why would we give more than what's requested?
Because right now, just the 40,000 is just for bike racks themselves, and so the only a portion of that funding is going to the bike racks, and I think we need to increase the number of bike racks we got funded, new bike racks.
Right.
I understand. Yeah, I understand your position right there. You're correct in that case, but this is a 50-50, so I think I would just look for more of that, so that they go specifically to the bike racks.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I don't want to fund bike racks necessarily. I'm just, what if 40% is what is necessary to accomplish that and meet the needs? I don't know why. Yeah.
Well, I don't know why they only put 100 grand there. It doesn't meet the needs of the city, but it does replace 20 bike racks, but I'd rather increase those bike racks by more.
Okay.
I'm not going to call that. I'm just saying this came to the transportation division also. It wasn't a resident project.
Okay. Councilmember Lopez Chavez.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you to Councilmember Dugan for sharing that. I share a different perspective since District 4 only has a partial funding log in the CIP, and we've been so delicate about dispersing these funds, and so I appreciate the conversation. However, there is one constituent request that I have brought up to the attention. I was just waiting to be patient about it, but if we are going to have that discussion. Number 25, I brought up early on in the CIP log. You have a printed sheet in front of you that breaks up the line items, and still without prioritization from public lands is the curb that is missing from the median green space. That is some of the only green space in East Central and District 4 that's utilized near the U. And so as much as I appreciate the conversation, just to echo what Councilmember Petro said, our districts all have dire need and low-hanging fruit. I'd much rather, I don't want to eliminate funding from this project, but if we're going to act out of distress and try to best represent the needs of this city, quite frankly, I'd rather go back and have that conversation, which Councilmember Dugan, you and I had in relation to this gutter. We currently have immense misuse in the neighborhood where people are parking in what otherwise would be our green space. So as much as I'd love to fund Green Loop, there's also existing green spaces that are utilized as parks that are currently, unfortunately, unintended and organic parking spaces. So I appreciate, I know there's need. I've heard from businesses that want to see bike racks installed. That being said, I also know that our departments are cultivating a list to phase out how we approach this installation. I just see that there's dire safety needs in our city that are more of an impediment today than the bike racks.
Okay, so is that an official, I guess my question for both of Councilmember Dugan and Lopez Chavez is, are you making a motion to make changes, or are we raising these as discussion points?
I would make a motion to adopt change number 57, reduce it by 50,000 and add it to number 18 for bike racks. I understand Councilman Lopez's point. That's for close to $1 million for the curbs, which is a broader subject. And this is just a small portion of the civic campus and the Green Loop. But I also look at it as part of the overall big picture on the civic campus side of the houses, because these bike racks are not just one district, they're across the city.
Okay, well, hold on. So
that's a long motion.
Yeah. So that's your, I guess, proposal. And do you want to call for a straw poll, or Councilmember Young, do you want to speak to the straw poll before we
I would
indicate one way or the other? Okay, Councilmember Young.
So would it be possible to ask the administration what the impact would be related to the project and the funding? Like, it would be helpful for me to know that before making like this type of change in allocation versus what was proposed.
Chair? Sorry, we have Blake Thomas. Please tell us, Mr. Downtown, what impact would this have? Official title.
Yeah, Blake, Mr. Downtown Thomas,
Yes.
Senior Advisor in the Mayor's Office. Thank you, Councilmember Young. Thank you, council members, for your support historically of the Civic Center project. The funding request that we have was very intentional, and so a reallocation of that funding would compromise the project and the timeliness, and part of that is trying to take advantage of a very serendipitous moment in time where there's philanthropic and business interest in the community to help fund the beautification of downtown as it relates to the 2027 Temple Open House and the 2034 Olympics. So our hope is that in our current recommended budget, we have $60,000 for green bike. We also have $40,000 for bike rack replacements. So we hope to keep as much of that funding as possible dedicated toward the Civic Center to get the project off the ground, as we're currently undergoing a capital campaign feasibility study to try to use that $3 million as a leverage or a match to the philanthropic community. So it would just hurt some of those prospects and what the city's commitment is to that project. So thank you for letting me speak to that.
Thank you. Councilmember Pui.
I would love to push a little more information on that. I think the option that is in front of us right now is for a small amount of money taken from a project, and I will struggle with the concept of shaving a little bit of money and saying to me, and me having supported this project along the line, but hearing that shaving a little bit of money will put it all in the garbage. To me, that's a little bit of a strain into the conversation. So Councilmember Dugan is asking for $1,000 for his project. The CDCIP suggested 2.76 and a half to fund this. Could this project make a significant moving forward with that amount of money? That would be my question. Could we still show good commitment to this project and potentially not? That would be my spin to Dugan's question, but you could answer either way, for his $50,000 or for the 99 and a half that the mayor recommended.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Pui. Just to be completely clear, I'm not saying the project would be thrown in the garbage. I'm saying that a reallocation would compromise the total amount that the city is committing for us to then go try to leverage. So,
will you explain that to me? Because I don't understand what that means.
yeah, I think this would be the first construction dollars that would be dedicated toward the civic block. So our hope is to have as much money as possible from this eligible source to be able to go after grants, philanthropy, and other sources, since it'll end up being probably a $15 to $18 million project. So I don't mean to be hyperbolic in any way and completely understand where you're coming from. I'm not saying that it's throwing it in the garbage, but I'm just saying that the reallocation of the total amount that we can go try to leverage in the community would be compromised.
I agree.
Councilmember Petro.
Can I ask a little bit about that? As someone who fundraises professionally, the uncertainty in the world around us and competing demands is making fundraising difficult, as it never has been. I'm also not a large municipality with a lot of other benefits to offer. So as I'm looking at this being 20%, you know that like I want the green loop ultimately. It's something beautiful we deserve to have. I still struggle with how we rank it as a priority when we have so many competing priorities and an increasing number of priorities given to us from federal dereliction of duty all the way down. So you don't have to do it on the public record, but if we're going to give seed money, any angel investor would say, what are the other prospects? How far along are we in them? What are some soft commitments we have made? giving 20% to something that we want, and I would be even more aggressive. I would shut 200 East all the way down and actually just green it all the way through. I think you're actually being conservative in what you're presenting to us. If we're being asked to prioritize this at this moment above all else, knowing that we probably have another 3 cycles of true difficulty ahead of us at minimum, I'd like to see what we've prospected and what the honest to God leveraging opportunity is to make sure this 20% does realize into what we need it to, especially if we're going to be not allocating it to other very concrete things that we know we need and that will make a difference. And then the other thing, not for Mr. Downtown, is bike racks on the west side don't just need to be physically there. We need assistance securing them. I have yet to find the U-lock that isn't cut while people are in the Smiths on 700 North, leading people to not want to bike on the west side because there is no way for us to be guaranteed that our mode of transportation will be there when we come out. So if we are going to allocate additional money to bike racks, I would like part of it to go towards understanding what the best technologies, options that not only allow us to like use our own locks, but promote the highest level of safety for people if we honestly want them to use them as transit.
Thank you. I'm gonna go first, and because and then I'll back to you. And is it about Councilmember Dugan's request for a straw poll? Okay, so I also have a constituent request for a bike rack that I thought would be a very simple and easy thing. It is not. It is going to be extremely expensive. I understand that, and I really want to be able to deliver on that request. However, I also have conversations weekly with constituents about Green Loop and trying to understand like what it is, where are we in the process, how much is it going to cost, where is the money going to come from, when does it start, what is all of those things. And I feel like have already started going down the path of doing that, of answering those questions and planning out, getting together enough of a coherent plan that we actually know how much it is going to cost and how we're going to fund it. And I feel like I am getting a lot more questions and pressure from residents about wanting answers on that than I am about bike racks. And while I want to deliver for my constituent on bike racks as well, and this would help me do that, we also, I would point out, have about like 13 minutes left dedicated to this discussion. And this is our 4th briefing on it, and we're taking steps backwards instead of forwards. We have to get through this CIP so that we can vote on it. And so I'm not inclined to, in all of that context, also add more than what a project is being asked of us. So I am not going to support that, but I do understand the situation, and I appreciate Councilmember Dugan raising it, except that we really don't have time. So I'm going to give you a very, very quick speech and moment, and then Councilmember Young, and then we just need to move forward with the straw poll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I echo your sentiment. I think we had opportunity. We've had conversations like this where we've raised it. Again, I have equally a request like that in my district, and we're going through that process. And so I will not be voting in favor of this straw poll. And again, I just want to highlight number 25. I brought that early on to this council, and I hope to ask a question to John Larson and his team, as well as transportation, because that's considered, even though it's a public lands project, it's a transportation project, and we have more information from their staff. So that being said, that's all I wanted to state on the record.
Thank you, Councilmember Young.
So I'm wondering if there might be an opportunity in a future meeting from the administration, whether in our monthly update or whatever that looks like, just to also get a broader understanding about where we have existing projects that may include the opportunity for bike racks to be able to present a more holistic picture. I'll give one example. I know that we're having a conversation around Fairmont Park and potential improvements for that area moving forward. Maybe there could be like a bike rack or something like that, just to be able to kind of more holistically address the concerns that Councilmember Dugan was reflecting. So just wanted to put that out there as a potential ask.
With the power vested in me by Jill Love, I totally support that request.
Thank you.
We'd be happy to do that, and I think that that's a good problem, is this demand for that kind of infrastructure.
Thank you. Show your feelings. On the straw poll? Yes, on the straw poll. The straw poll is to take money from the 50,000 from Green Loop and put it to the green bike. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a down. Okay, we have 1 thumbs up. We have 4 thumbs down. We have some.
Dan's a thumbs up.
And and Dan is a thumbs up, and Councilmember Petro is a thumbs down. So that does not indicate enough support. Of course, that's not a final decision, but let's move on.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Tom Millar would like to come up briefly and talk about number 25.
Okay.
Thanks,
Please
everybody.
be quick.
Yes, I will. And if there are any other questions about any other public lands applications while we're here, be happy to answer those. In attachment 7 for this agenda item, one of the questions that we answered was how we could potentially break up the 1200 East, the East Central Community Council's 1200 East median restoration proposal application, to note that that is not the other 1200 East application between 300 South and 500 South. What we had said in those answers and what we said in the application is that we had worked with the constituent to develop kind of 2 funding scenarios. One would be the full funding of completely rebuilding those medians, the islands for those 2 blocks, completely replacing the irrigation, all of the sod, adding in other water-wise plantings and water-saving features, art, benches, new trees, new median island noses that stick out farther into the intersection and slow down traffic. We also developed a partial scope funding that has fewer trees, partial sod replacement, still the irrigation system replacement, and curb and gutter replacement. I would also like to note in last fiscal year's CIP, Council approved several $100,000 for irrigation replacements, especially, and the locations we had identified were especially in park strips, medians, in those spaces that offer that green space in areas that have very little green space. We could use some of that for the roughly $200,000 or $220,000 of that partial scope that is for irrigation and landscaping. We could not use it for the curb and gutter, though. And if we were to not replace the curb and gutter, but were to replace the irrigation system, it's likely that that irrigation system would just break over again. So as I say that, would love to ask council to consider the possibility of funding at least the curb and gutter replacement of those median islands, and then the irrigation replacement or repairs could at least be partially covered by existing funding.
Councilmember Lopez Chavez.
Thank you for that, and I really appreciate the report. I know that you're working diligently to find available funding. That being said, I wanted to ask, as I understand, curb is something that the cost center goes under transportation, is that correct? Or they oversee it?
So we could replace the curb and gutter with public lands funding. However, if this project wasn't funded, we couldn't use our irrigation and landscaping funding to go replace curbs. But yes, those medians are our purview, and we could repair them if the funding was available.
Okay, because I know I've highlighted this to my colleagues. I just want to mention they're currently dead. There's broken irrigation. They're used as parking lots in, unfortunately, during University View events and other types of events here. That being said, I wanted to ask if there's any other excess funding in transportation or related to curvature projects that could be utilized so that we're not having to absorb this dire need through CIP this year.
I don't know if I could answer that question, but John's here.
Yes. Councilmember Pui.
Thank you. The removal, the curve, it's $210,000, and the irrigations is 150. What, to summarize what you requested, or if we could do something, you said to replace the curve and the irrigation system. Is that what you were about, like contingencies or design? Do we need to allocate more money? Could we do these things separate?
I would have to run numbers on what the contingency and inflation factor and those other soft costs would be. But if we just did the replacement of the curb and gutter, the irrigation system replacement, I would recommend the partial sod replacement and then those soft costs. I could calculate that, but it would probably be still in excess of $300,000 or $400,000. But the total of the partial scope cost estimate is just less than $600,000, and then the total for the full scope was a little bit more than $950,000.
But I think your question's related to just the curb. Is that correct? The $200,000 that they have excess that could be utilized for irrigation?
I mean, yeah, I'm trying to figure out. So you also mentioned that you could potentially find the funding for the curve from other areas that are not CIP, or is that, or you're saying that it needs to come from CIP?
So
I believe he was saying irrigation.
We could use existing irrigation funding that was allocated by council last year to help fund the irrigation part. We don't have any current curb and gutter funding in public lands that could be allocated towards this. That's what I was trying to say.
We'd have to look at, for the curb and gutter, I think could be eligible under like street reconstruction funding, which generally the streets are reconstructed based on the pavement condition. And then we look at the street, like all the curb and gutter along that street and fix it at the time. It's usually not driven by the curb and gutter. But in this case, that's something, especially if it was direction from council, we could look at some previous allocated street reconstruction or complete street reconstruction funding and move some of that to replacing the curb and gutter here.
So if I'm understanding correctly, we could add a contingency on existing funding to just look at the curb and gutter, so that way we can deploy irrigation funds on the medians? Is that accurate?
I don't know that I would word it in that way, that because the budget has already been adopted, the opportunity to put a contingency on it has passed. So you don't have the ability to put a contingency on existing funding. If the administration is amenable, they can decide to deploy existing budgeted funds in a particular way, but the administration would have to decide that unless the council went in and altered it in a budget amendment. So I think a future budget amendment would be, unless the administration is just willing and ready to do that project, and I think that would be great. The council could do it in a budget amendment. I guess I hesitate. The only hesitation I have is making sure that the administration does have sufficient funds to deploy those funds in that way, and that the administration is supportive of using the funds in that way, because those funds have already been adopted.
Okay. We can steal about 10 minutes from another, John, before we do that, we can steal about 10 minutes from another discussion item, and then that's all that we have left. Kate, have we made it through all of the ones that were recommended for funding?
There's one more. It's number 62, and that is funding for vacant properties for Fisherman's Mansion, some historic rehabilitation, and then for Fleet Block pre-design, I believe, for the public space. So that's the last one.
Okay. How many more proposals are there to shift funds around? You have one? Mm-hmm. Councilmember Romano, do you have any? Councilmember Young? Councilmember Petro? Thank you so much for being so go with the flow. Okay, I know, hold on. I also don't have any more. Councilmember Dugan, are you going to be making any more proposals to shift funds around?
No, sir.
Okay, so with the 10 minutes that we have left, I know we want to hear from John, but I also don't know how much discussion we're going to want to have on this point, and this is all we've got. So how long is your answer? Can it be in one sentence?
Can we get back to you for next week?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Council, would you like to make a straw poll at this time?
Well, there's no money I was looking for an answer to see if that's something that they have funds to deploy. It sounds like that's something that we'd either have to talk as a budget amendment at a later time. That being said, since it is on the record, I just want to recognize this is 8 years in the making of the CIP. I've brought this up. Although, yes, we're looking to replace the irrigation system, the dire need is the curb. This is misutilized green space. Could you imagine the green loop if it was used as a parking lot? So this is the conversation we're going to hear from neighbors later today.
Okay, do you want to make a straw poll?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Pui.
Can I ask a question that goes on with it?
Yes, Miss Easygoing.
Are there tools available to us? Like, I love this, that there might be other ways to fund this. I'm happy with it. What I'm worried about is that it falls off our priority list after the conversation. Is it a legislative intent, or is there a tool we can employ now to make sure that I will not think of this again because it's not my district and we have so many other things. I don't want to lose track of this. This is a commitment that we need to make to these neighbors.
I think we could absolutely include it as a legislative intent when you adopt CIP. And I think we can brainstorm as staff to figure out what the most appropriate next step is. I think, in my mind, the most appropriate next step would be a budget amendment, just because then it stands out, it stands alone as its own project. It doesn't kind of get lost in the departmental, other priorities in the department. And I wonder if between now and the next budget amendment, we can work with the administration to figure out, does it need to come, can it come fully from within existing department budgets and it's just reallocating existing department budgets, or does there need to be some infusion from like fund balance to make up some difference? So between transportation and public lands, I think we'll have a few follow-up conversations to figure out like exactly what that, but it can be a council added item in the next budget amendment. And we can adopt a legislative intent, I think, so that we don't forget it.
I don't want to trample you, but I'm in support of anything that helps keep this top of mind.
Thank you. Councilmember Pui, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, join me for this fun ride. So number 41 is Glendale Traffic Calming. This is a project that is very important to District 2. It's on California Avenue, and the community organized themselves for several years on a row to study the intersections of California and Navajo with Mountain View Elementary, and Glendale Middle School, and all the traffic issues. There's a lot of kids. Those are schools that are, growing and very important to the community as a whole. They submitted a CIP years ago that we funded to study what improvements to do in these intersections, and 41 is the result of that study. It basically requests almost $500,000 in improvements. That's a lot of money that we seem not to have. But phase one, potentially we could do this in phases, and we're talking about safety. We heard a lot about this year, different public safety requests, and I would like to make an argument to fund partially phase one, which to my understanding is about $200,000 of phase one, and I would like to propose, if there is an amicable interest in funding it, to take $76,000 from number 38, which is the phase three. Phase 3 on the public safety PV charging stations, which is the last phase of it, and then
how much?
$76,000, which is what we were told earlier. That was the last phase of that project. So we fund still phase 1 and 2, the most expensive parts of it, and then take $50,000 from number 57, which is the Green Loop implementation initial commitment. And that is really where I would like to stop. It's giving some tools to the department to see if they can leverage some other funds. That gives you $126,000 for public safety across the school.
Sorry, how much was it from 57?
50.
Okay. Discussion to this item.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Councilmember
Romano.
Pui, I don't know as much about the Glendale safety project. If we only did the 70 some odd thousand from the electric vehicle charging, but not the additional 50 from the Green Loop, would that be usable?
I think that's a Jordan Larson question. I will say, I would love to, phase one is about 200,000. I'm trying to get them as close as possible to that. I don't know how much on a $3 million project, 50,000 derails it or shows that we're not committed to the Green Loop. I've been very supportive of it, especially on this block. And I still think that it meets all the goals a bit in the middle, which I think it's a recipe of a good argument. But maybe we can ask, John, if he could.
John, can you? So that was how much? 75 plus 50?
Yeah, that's
so
126,000 versus 76,000.
What can you do with 126,000 on California?
The concrete speed humps or speed cushions on wider roads are coming in probably around 20,000 each. There are some like engineering fees and mobilization costs that the contractors charge us. So the smaller the contract, the more those kind of extra fees are. But if it was kind of that phase one, just doing speed humps on one street, then we could probably package it with one of the other bigger traffic calming packages that are already happening, and so that would lower some of those overhead costs. So, just to be safe, maybe assume 25,000 per speed hump or speed cushion.
I don't know will that answer, I guess the options we have right now is either 76,000 alone, potentially, if I can get some support here, or, is there a better number that you could, obviously getting all the money is certainly ideal, but is there a little more money that will make a difference here, knowing that you're saying $25,000 is valid speed cushion? So potentially that gives you 3, but not quite, because there is engineering costs to all of that, and maybe 2. I don't know if that answers.
I guess the reason I was asking the question is just I think I'm more comfortable with the first request, and given what Mr. Downtown just told us about the Green Loop funding, I'm a little more hesitant to take money away from that request. So I think if you're calling for a straw poll, I feel comfortable with the electric vehicle charging one, and I need a little more convincing on the Green Loop one.
Mr. Chair.
Hold on just a second. We got Councilmember Petro first, then Councilmember Dugan, then Councilmember Pui. Or unless Councilmember Pui is answering something directly from Darren.
I was just going to call for a vote.
Oh, Councilmember Petro, do you want to speak to this?
I want to speak to this.
Okay, go ahead.
If you look in the description, we have 3 schools on this road, like not close by, like on the road. The school has the community learning center, so we have pregnant moms going there to get prenatal care. English is a second language. It is a refuge, and it is one of the most dangerous places in the city. and one of the most under-engineered, not for fault of the current transportation, it's what we inherited. I think you're being kind by only asking for that money and not asking for us to go back on the Green Loop to what was suggested by the CDCIP board. This requires a level of investment, and much like what we're committing to on the east side over on 11th East, which has been forestalled for a long time, this outcry has existed for a long time. So I commend you for being as restrained as you are in your district and trying to meet us. I think that if you ask for more, this issue augurs that kind. These are literally children. Plus, when you add in who goes to the library, who goes to the CLC, the massive social function that serves, it's without a question one of the things we have to be investing in.
Councilmember Dugan.
Mike, thank you, and I appreciate all the traffic calming discussions. Now, how does this align with the livable streets constructions and the zones in the area? I can't, from the map, I can't determine if this is in zone 7 or not, as far as livable streets or zone 7. Or the outside zone 7.
Looks like it might be zone 49.
Oh, it's zone 49. Okay. But it is an area where, as Councilmember Petro said, multiple schools.
Yeah. I wonder, I mean, my question to Councilmember Mano, is there any amount, just so I can frame my, is there any amount that if I made this number 100,000, so being 76 from the electrical PSB building, and we add, the $24,000 to make it 100. Is that something that still it feels iffy to you?
Can you remind me which number is the Green Loop funding that you're wanting to take from?
Which one?
The Green Loop.
Green Loop is 57.
50. Okay, let me. I'm not sure exactly how to answer your question, but I'm hearing the arguments. I know that traffic calming is important, and I understand that that street has 3 schools. I'm also historically with traffic calming requests, I've tried to go with what we've done with data and understand the prioritization that was done by the departments and make sure that we're funding as much of the traffic calming money in that main livable streets line item, which I think we have $2 million in. So I guess I'm not sure exactly where I'm landing on that, but
I would like to suggest a straw poll to move $76,000 from the PSB number 38 to this line item 41. That is my straw poll right now.
Okay, we have 6 thumbs up. Councilmember Dugan? He's a thumbs up. Okay, so that is 7 thumbs up to reallocate 76,000 from the phase 3 of the electrification of the electric outlets, EV stations at PSB, and to put it towards this project. Any other discussion to this? Great, because we're already over time. Good job, everybody. We made it. Oh, okay. Do you have another Shopple?
No, I think I'm gonna work that one a little harder.
Okay, thank you. All right, great. So we are at agenda item number 3. This is an informational discussion on our Safe Streets Action Plan kickoff. Very timely after our streets safety discussion. Okay, so with us, sorry, we have Allison Rowland from the council office. We have John Larson. We have Jenna Simpkins, transportation planner. Allison, do you want to start us off?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This plan is focused on reaching 0 traffic fatalities and serious injuries by 2035. The plan will be based on system-wide approach to transportation safety and use data to identify and prioritize strategies for improvements. The division has been building consensus among stakeholders across city, county, and state actors, including UDOT and the Wasatch Front Regional Council, so 2 of the biggest fish. And the final plan is anticipated in spring 2026. So I will leave more detail on all these items to John Larson and Jenna Simpkins.
Thank you for inviting us to come and speak with you today. My name is Jenna Simpkins. I am the project manager for the Safe Streets Action Plan. I'm going to be giving a brief overview of why we are creating the plan, what an action plan is, the underlying philosophy behind it, and our timeline. If you could hit next, please. So why are we creating this plan? In 2023, Mayor Mendenhall made a commitment to end traffic fatalities and serious injuries in Salt Lake City by 2035. This action plan will be our roadmap to achieving that ambitious goal. It also gives us a great opportunity to be transparent and accountable to the public. We are already doing good work to make streets safer, and we want to highlight the next steps we'll be taking towards this ambitious goal. The action plan is a way for us to build consensus among stakeholders. We've been working with UDOT and Zero Fatalities program, and also the Wasatch Front Regional Council with the Comprehensive Safety Action Plan. Because the reality is the Transportation Division cannot achieve this goal alone. We need a multidisciplinary approach. And then lastly, an action plan is one of the requirements from the Vision Zero network for recognition as an official Vision Zero community or city. The Vision Zero network is a national organization that provides resources and guidance to cities like ours that want to stop traffic deaths and serious injuries. We've already met some of the other requirements, which include support from elected officials, setting a target date of 2035, identifying the high injury network, which is our streets that have a disproportionate number of deadly or severe crashes, and then of course the Vision Zero task force. Next, please. So briefly, what is an action plan? A Vision Zero action plan identifies and prioritizes data-driven, short-term, multidisciplinary strategies to end traffic fatalities and serious injuries. Our plan will be focusing on the next 5 years. We want concrete, measurable strategies we can implement in the short term. In 2030, we will look to update the plan based upon what we learn as we work to implement it. It's likely we'll need to pivot and adapt based upon what we experience as we work to implement the plan. Next slide. So digging more into the strategies we're looking at, the underlying approach is the safe system approach that will guide our plan. In a nutshell, it starts with the basic understanding that humans are imperfect, humans will make mistakes, and so we need a system that when someone makes a mistake, when walking, biking, or driving, it does not result in death or serious injury. So that means that we need to shift to acknowledging that responsibility is shared between the system designers and the system users. We need to be very proactive in improving safety, and we need to have many layers of protection to reach this goal of stopping traffic deaths and serious injuries. So the strategies in the plan will be organized in these 5 categories: safe vehicles, safe speeds, safe roads, post-crash care, and safe road users. Next slide, please. Here's a rough overview of our timeline. So far, we've been working on reviewing existing plans, policies, and programs. One of the challenges with this project is we don't want to duplicate good work that's already happening within the city and with our external partners. We've also been undertaking stakeholder interviews to gain more information. We've kicked off a community engagement. There's a survey online right now that people can take to share their thoughts about what they think we should do to make streets safer. Later this year, we will share a draft version of the plan. That will be the second time the public can provide input. The key question there will be, what out of all the strategies we're listing, what do you think is the most important for us to do? What should we do first, basically? Based upon the feedback we hear, we will update and finalize the plan over the winter and then have a final version of the plan in the spring. We will come back to you to present the plan for your consideration for adoption. After that, assuming it is adopted, we will apply to the Vision Zero network for recognition as an official Vision Zero community. Next slide, please. So that was a brief overview. I wanted to thank, again, this is a multidisciplinary effort, and we've had a lot of people helping us, helping the Transportation Division with it. In particular, I want to thank the City Innovation Team for all the work they are doing for the Safe Streets Action Plan. I want to thank the citywide communications team for their help in using Shape SLC, and thank the steering committee for their work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Councilmember Dugan.
Thank you very much. And Janet, thank you for the presentation. And John and Janet, thank you for the focus on this Vision Zero. We can't focus, using that same word. And we need to continue to focus on this issue. It's probably one of the #1 issues I see in my district. I'm always getting requests about how we make our city streets safer for pedestrians, bikers, drivers, all alike. And we can't, we don't have enough funds for all the projects I want in just District 6 because of this. And so this is a really a great tool, and I'm looking forward to the plan. I'm looking forward to the implementation and pressing on with the Livable Streets program and making sure we can move as fast as we can across the board on all these areas. So thank you very much for the work.
Councilmember Petro.
Generally supportive of people crossing streets safely and cars getting where they go. Can I please beg, even if it's just in written form, I need to understand better, maybe like a matrix of some sort that shows me what is complete streets versus what is livable streets versus what is Vision Zero. What other things am I missing? Like, I just want to be sure I understand that I'm doing my job well in allocating resources.
It's all in the Depot District Plan.
It's all in the what?
The Depot District Plan, which is not to be confused with. Yeah, sorry.
We have actually been working on
Insider council joke. Okay.
Sorry.
John, go ahead.
We are actually working on a matrix that we are excited to share with you soon. I was reviewing a draft of it this morning for this and all the programs. And I have to admit, my goal is to get something that you would be willing to put on your office wall. And so, no pressure, but would mean a lot. So, just a quick answer to what you said is the Livable Streets is focused on local residential streets. The Vision Zero program is focused on the streets that have a higher incidence of injuries and fatalities, which are the collectors and arterials. And then the complete streets are focused on the basically building out the pedestrian and bicycle and transit master plans, which are targeted at fleshing out a multimodal network.
It feels like sometimes when he funds something, it funds all three of them. Sometimes it's only one of them. So it would just help me as a reference.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Council Member Pui.
I'm certainly, this is, this council has shown support to safer streets, and implementing with money, making a difference in our communities to make our roads safer for everyone. What this plan would do as far as what weight of importance will it have when guiding our future changes or improvements? And is this going to be suggested changes and they're going to be either in policy or infrastructure or both? And the question that I'm asking relates to, for example, studying that with the current funding, it will take us 100 years to go through paving our streets to the level that we have identified that we need to pave. And I always struggle with, unattainable goals, and, setting up a goal for ourselves that we will never be able to accomplish. So what will this study give us? And, are there different achievable goals that we can actually fund in the long term or short term?
Yeah, and I think what's so exciting about this plan is that it really builds upon kind of like what Jenna talked about, the whole safe systems approach. So it's not just about the capital investment, and that's really one of the big things that we've learned by plugging into this National Vision Zero network. I feel like we have through CIP, we've together have created some channels by which we can continue to invest in safer streets, and that could be accelerated on years where there's more funding to invest there. But to really get to where we need to go, it truly needs to be multidisciplinary, not just within the city, but also bringing in our partners, and the zero fatalities folks over at UDOT and the state highway safety folks have been fantastic. And then internal to the city, it really is going to take everyone to really work together and keep safety top of mind as we change the culture, not just for within the city government, but across the city, of just driving safely. And it's not all of that necessarily requires funding. I mean, funding can fix a lot of things, but a lot of it is really changing that culture that all of us are all in on getting to zero fatalities. And I think a lot of people, they're interested, they want to help, but they don't know how. And so this makes it so that every employee in every department knows the role that they play in getting us to zero fatalities.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Let's move on now to agenda item number 4, which is an ordinance amending the administrative hearing process. We have with us Michael Sanders, Council Policy Analyst. We also have Arturo Garcia, Director of Finance Operations, and Catherine Pasker, Senior City Attorney, available for questions, or maybe not, Catherine? Oh.
Catherine plans to join us online.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Michael,
great.
take it away.
So the administration is proposing to consolidate the appeals process related to license denial, revocation, or suspension, as well as civil infraction appeals. This will replace the current small claims process for formal appeals that is currently housed within the Justice Court, with a new process outlined in Code Section 2.75, which would be outside of the Justice Court. Over the past years, the Justice Court has handled an average of 30 formal appeal cases per year. So if an individual wishes to contest an administrative citation or license denial, they may request an initial written review by a hearing officer at no charge. If they wish to contest that, they may request a formal appeal before an administrative appeals officer, which will have an $81 fee that can be refunded if the appellant prevails. And if the appellant wishes to further appeal, they may do so with the district court. Differences between hearing officers and administrative appeals officers was summarized as a table in attachment 1 of the staff report. In addition to this new process, the ordinance also contains other amendments to various sections of code related to license, namely the repeal of some alcohol establishment enforcement provisions, amendments to pedicab driver qualifications, and the repeal of motor vehicle insurance requirements. All of those were detailed on page 4. With that, I'll end and hand it over to Arturo.
Thank you, council members. Any questions?
It doesn't look like it.
Michael,
Romano.
I must have heard it wrong. Did you say a $1 fee?
$81.
$81 fee.
$1. Okay. Thanks. That's all.
Okay, any other questions? All right, you're off the
All right.
hook.
Thank
Thanks. Okay, let's move to agenda item number 5, which is a resolution to add the City of Holiday to the Central Wasatch Commission. For this, we have Austin Kimmel from the council staff. We also have Jason Oldroyd, Senior City Attorney. Where'd he go? Nope.
Sorry, Council Chair, I can
Okay,
take this.
nope, we have Mark Trell, who's gonna join us on this item. Austin, take it away.
All right, council members. The Central Wasatch Commission is a local cooperative agency tasked with carrying out the Mountain Accord Charter, which lays out proposals to address transportation, economic, environmental, and recreation issues in the Central Wasatch Mountains. Salt Lake City is one of the commission's founding 4 members, along with Salt Lake County, Cottonwood Heights, and Sandy City. Since then, the commission has grown to a 9-jurisdiction commission. The proposal before you today would add the City of Holiday as a new member of that commission. Under the terms of the interlocal agreement, additional members may be added by a majority vote of all commissioners, plus a vote by the legislative bodies of each member, which is the matter before you today. Holiday has already been provisionally approved as a new member. Action must be taken by the end of the month, so we've tentatively scheduled this item for a vote at the August 19th formal meeting. And happy to take any questions. And Mark, did you have anything to add?
I didn't, Austin. Thank you. That was good background.
All right. Excuse me. Okay, thank you. Lost my wig for my microphone here. Anyone have questions on this? Okay, doesn't look like it.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, we're on to agenda item number 6. We really skipped ahead in terms of making up time. Didn't think that would happen. Do we have Heidi Adler available? Alder, I mean? I'm guessing not.
I'm checking online really quick. I'm not seeing Heidi.
Mr. Chair, will you move?
Councilmember Pui?
Would you like to, would it be possible to move ahead on item number 7?
Number 7's a written briefing, actually.
Oh.
So that's
Oh,
nice.
it is, you're right.
Yeah. So I think we can actually just, we can go back and talk about CIP some more if you want. Okay. Or we can just saunter until Ms. Alder is available.
Saunter it is.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do that. Just don't go too far, please. Okay.
How long?
until until she shows up.
And it looks like she'll be joining online, so we'll be watching for her to join online.
Okay, great. Thank you. appointment available. So Heidi, can you hear me out there?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great.
We just can't see you.
I'm
yeah, we
on.
can. Yeah, we can. There you are. Okay.
Here I am.
We can see you. I just had something blocking my screen. Okay, so this is your opportunity to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you are interested in serving as a disciplinary appeals hearing officer for Salt Lake City. So you can talk about your background and what you hope to bring to this position, and then we'll let you know if we have any questions. But go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Heidi Alder. I am an attorney. I've been practicing since 2005, so when I graduated from law school. I bounced back and forth a little bit between law and my first profession. Before I went to law school, I was a teacher in the classroom. After about 3 years at a law firm, I ended up leaving the law firm and going back to teaching because I felt a lot more fulfilled in the classroom than as an associate at a law firm. But I also, at that same time, contracted with the State Board of Education to be a hearing officer, similar capacity for disciplinary matters with regard to educators' licenses. So it was a rotating basis. I was called when needed, and I would hear evidence and write decisions along with a panel of the Utah Professional Practices Advisory Commission. That's an 11-member body, and every time there was a hearing, 3 members of that panel would be the judges, so to speak, and I would administer the hearing as a hearing officer. So I would administer the hearing and write up a report. I did that for several years, about 3 years, until the State Board of Education actually had an opening when I went over to the State Board, left my job as a teacher, second time as a teacher, back to work in law. I was an investigator with the State Board of Education, their Professional Practices Advisory Commission, and I also did work and provided training in the legal department over there. So I did a lot of trainings on a whole host of issues related to education law specifically, but I did a lot of training about boundaries and about ethics and about educator code of conduct. I was in that position until 2014 when I left the State Board of Education and I went into semi-private practice, semi-employment with Weber School District. And ever since then, for the past 11 years, I've been part-time with Weber School District as their legal counsel, and then part-time working privately with school districts across the state. I work with districts to help advise them on a whole host of legal issues related to schools, but human resources is a big aspect of that. And I also contract with districts as a hearing officer when school districts have employment terminations. So I have acted as a hearing officer in the educator licensing capacity and in public education employment capacity. And in the background of all that, I've spent time advising and consulting with primarily school districts and charter schools, although I've taken on a few other clients about all things related to education law. So that's my background.
Thank you. Council members, any questions? Oh, I didn't know if you were just giving me a thumbs up or if you had a question. Councilmember Young.
Heidi, thank you so much. I have to say, not only do I love your background coming from K-12 education as well, but I think that it's so relevant to the conversations that we have here at the city. So we're talking about public employees. We're talking about individuals who in many ways are responsible for the care and consideration of public resources and public benefits, but also wanting to have a high standard for the individuals who are serving and representing our city. So I'm super excited to have you and bless you for the continued work that you do in K-12. I know that it continues to be quite the ever-evolving landscape, and we'll be excited to have that expertise helping us here in Salt Lake.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, I think that's it. Thank you so much, Heidi, for being here today and answering our questions, and thank you for your willingness to serve Salt Lake City.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
I'll log off now.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Council members, that brings us to our reports of the chair and vice chair. I don't have any. Do you?
I don't have any.
Okay. And executive director? Okay, no announcements. And then, the last thing is a tentative closed session. Food is here, right? So we can, once we vote on this, if you'll go and get your food and then go down to the Cannon Room for our closed session. And then following the closed session, we will be adjourned until our formal meeting at 7. So go ahead.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I move that we enter closed session for a strategy session to discuss the purchase, exchange, lease, or sale of real property and to receive to discuss attorney-client matters.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Mono and a second from Councilmember Lopez Chavez. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and roll call it. Councilmember Petro.
Yes.
Pui.
Yes.
Mono.
Yes.
Lopez Chavez.
Aye.
Dugan.
Yeah.
Young.
Aye.
And I am a yes as well. That passes unanimously. We'll be in closed session and we will adjourn after that and reconvene at 7 for our formal meeting. Thank you.